when you marry the jobless, when you marry the unemployable, it becomes, you will now become the problem. The reason why they are unemployable, the reason why they are jobless, it always ends in frustration. So I tell people, when you bring somebody to me and I say, where does he work? And you say, well, he wants to start his business. Let him start his business first. The marriage is not a ground to test whether someone knows something. But then another variation are those that say, don't worry, I will set her up. You met her doing nothing, she has no skill, no talent, and then you now invest 5 million naira to open a big supermarket. What will happen? She will run it to the ground because she has no talent, skill, or qualification to handle that. If you met someone selling pure water, it is even better. You can now set her up to start, supplying pure water because you met her doing something and you can invest in that. But you meet someone doing absolutely nothing, and then you think you can invest in absolutely nothing, and then absolutely nothing will become something. God is not a magician. And even in life here, there is no magic. What you sow is what you reap. If you sow on an empty ground, you will reap emptiness. It always ends in frustration. There are some, how many minutes we have today? I have just 2 minutes. Yes. Okay, let me start with, some say, I've heard after marriage, a gentleman say God told him that he should not work. Oh yes, some say that God has called them to ministry and they will not work. So you just support me in my ministry, and all of a sudden, you see, the issue is this. Even all the disciples had jobs. The apostles had jobs. Some were tent makers, some were carpenters, some were fishermen, and they did not go begging and borrowing because they all had work. And that is the same apostle that said in 2 Thessalonians that let he that does not work not eat. Well, let me tell you the consequence of joblessness and the jobless when they marry. They look for people who will train and educate their children for them. Their children now become a merchandise to trade with, especially when their daughters reach puberty. They push them out to men and they push them out to marriage. These are the girls you see now that see men as a means and source of income. They force their daughters into early marriage to men who would eventually abuse and exploit them. Their sons become reprobates with high capacity for crime. The marriage always ends up in frustration because one party is always carrying the load. School fees, it is you go and borrow. This one will go out, the woman would, especially for the women who are carrying the load of the marriage. You are with someone who just simply refuses to work. I would put another variation here. Be careful of men who say women should not work but stay in the home. I wonder why they go for educated and career women in the first place. If you want to get a jobless wife, then go for a woman who has no education from the beginning. Because why am I sending my daughter to school if at the end of the day she would now go back to sit in the house and let me just start training her in the kitchen so that she will be a good cook? But if you are part of the men that say you don't want your women to work, stop going for educated women. Go for illiterates, go for people who have no education so that their work can be domestic. That is what they would teach. This is a setup because you think that, oh, let the woman stay at home. Then something funny always happens. Either the man loses his job, or then, let us even say he is so wealthy, then he dies. Then the family comes to take everything he has. The in-laws, the sweet in-laws just become Tasmanian devils all of a sudden. And look at this gentleman that the 360 towers that collapsed in Ikoyi. The man had not been in the ground when his family had already come and started taking his Bentleys, his Rolls Royces. They had, and the man has children. Oh, you say he's such a wealthy man. Look at that example. But when a woman works, she has a defense. She has something to fall back on. You cannot just put a woman, an educated woman, a woman that has a career, or a woman that has a business, you say, no, I believe, let me tell you something. If you come to me and you say your man says you should not work, I will tell you to leave the man, because you cannot dull somebody's shine. Some women have the talent. You see, everybody has a gift from God. You look at the parable in the Bible. To some he gave 5 talents, to some he gave 3 talents, to some he gave 1. When he would ask you on the last day, what did you do with the talent I gave you? You say, the man said I should sit down in the house. That is not an excuse. You will pay for it. Because you are here to meet a need. You are here to become somebody. There are some women prime ministers, women presidents. The vice president of America is a black woman. What if the husband had said, go and sit down at home? They will never get to that point. Stop this madness, making someone intentionally jobless. And that is when you are married to a jealous person who is, how would I put it? Who is intimidated by the success of a party. You get married to some people where your salaries become a competition. You cannot earn more than me. I am the, you understand? So anybody that just comes to me and you tell me that he said you should leave work, I will tell you straight ahead, leave the man. Because you are not here to become dependent. You are here as a tree that people can run to for shelter. Let me move that off the road. Do not be with unemployable men, unemployable women, jobless, unemployed. Let them get a job first. If you love them so much and you believe so much in their talents, in their gifts, let them get a job. Let them start using that talent right in front of you before you move ahead. Then there is another variant to this, which is called the lazy. Lazy. Let me define laziness. That is when you are with a lazy person. Joblessness and laziness are twins. Lazy is an adjective that is used to qualify a person, a noun. It means unwilling to work or use energy. That is the meaning of lazy. That is someone who is unwilling to work or use energy, not making any effort to do anything. Another interpretation is disinclined to activity or exertion, avoiding work, averse to work. Another interpretation says lack of effort or activity. Synonyms of lazy are idle, indolent, slothful, shiftless, loafing. Indolent means avert to activity, effort, or movement. That means the person cannot put an effort to even move. Now, you need to avoid lazy people. The problem here is that people think that lazy people are those lying on the sofa and just watching, and they don't have work, they don't have... Listen, the 20th century, the 21st century lazy man or lazy woman wears Prada, wears Gucci. They have jobs. So if you are looking at someone without work saying that is lazy, no, laziness nowadays have work. One thing is, you cannot be mistakenly lazy. You cannot be accidentally lazy. You are either lazy or not lazy. There are no advantages to laziness. It doesn't have a good part. It doesn't even have a point or reason. When you think laziness are those people that know. Laziness remains on a level. They are adverse to progress. They are just comfortable in this job that they are. They cannot take the initiative and are content with whatever it is. They cannot do the extra work. They look for colleagues to do the work for them. But this is where you have to be careful. Laziness is contentious and envious when you marry, because they would try to keep you on this level. You say you're married to a lazy person, you want to go and do masters. What do you want to use the masters for? Shebi, you have a job. When you are married to a lazy person, it is the beginning of forfeited dreams. They kill your productivity and discourage your initiative. When they refuse to do, they will refuse you to do. Eventually, they kill you. The first murder in the Bible was as a result of a lazy offering by Cain, which led to envy, and he killed his brother. Laziness always leads to envy. Those lazy workers would always envy and be malicious towards those that are working, and they want them to see that they are the only ones working. And then you now go and say I do to someone who is. Laziness is pathological, it is psychological, it is not something you see, it is physically, it is an attitude that you have to relate with, to know. Laziness is the grandeur of excuses. They always have excuses for everything. So when you are with someone who has an excuse for everything, they talk so much, but you know that one action speaks louder than 1,000 words. They talk so much, but they don't do anything. Their mouth, they have bought a Rolls Royce. Their mouth, they have built a plot of land in Banana Island. Their mouth, they have, but just to move forward, they will not. Laziness is dressed well, looking good, until you get close to the person and you associate with the person and you see that you are the person's means of income. Laziness is sustained by you. You are the one that feeds laziness. You are the one that clothes laziness, and they look good because they always know how to buy good things, but they don't know how to work for it. Laziness always survives on us. They wear you, they wear your efforts, they spend you, they spend your money, your sweat, your skin. You are their skin through which they blossom. For women, they don't work, they just come, give me this, give me that. They have no initiative. I was in a meeting with somebody and he got a call from his wife. You know, the call kept going, and eventually had to pick it up because, it was becoming a distraction. And he picked, you know what she said? She called him to tell him that water has finished in the house. And he couldn't repeat it, but it was loud. We all heard it. I've been calling you, there's no water in the house. And he kept quiet. Someone cannot even buy water in the house. I married late, but I married right. I am always happy that, there were lots of, no, don't do this. You see, your marriage, your relationship is not a matter of public opinion. It is a personal decision. When you allow the public to choose for you, and then you will suffer the consequences of their choice. When you know that whether good or bad, you are the one that will suffer it, then your voice will be louder than those that will not suffer it. But some people supervise affliction. They sit down in their own houses and tell you how to live. They are not going to suffer with you. They tell you how to share your profit. They just supervise your suffering. Don't worry, he hit you. Don't worry, just go back and everything. Because they have not been beaten like that before. They tell you just go back because they are eating in their own house, but you are not eating in your own house. You are borrowing. You are asking neighbors. And don't worry, it will be good. How? Only the living. Only the living. When you are almost dead, they tell you don't worry. Then when you are dead, they will now say, if you should have said something now. He should have said something now. Stop being with lazy men. It will turn at the end of the day against you because they would now say you are the cause of their problems. Why? They do not even lift a finger. They do not do anything but wait on you. You will carry more of the work. You are the one feeding your problem. You are the one clothing your problem. You are the one housing your problem. And the thing about feeding your problem is that your problem starts growing bigger and you start growing smaller. It's like a virus on a host. That is how a lazy person is on a hardworking person.